Let's jump straight into it. Conrad, first things first, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, very glad to have you. Now, I see behind you a wonderful poster of the great John Lennon. And
Yes.
now you are a band that grew up between Liverpool and Manchester. What was the musical diet you grew up with? Is it what people would expect?
Yeah, think so. I think it's very much um, the Beatles and that Mersey beat. And then also, you've got your Manchester kind of element with Oasis and the Stone Roses
Sure.
and the Smiths and New Order and Factory Records and Joy Division and all these kind of bands. But then also, you can't be narrow minded. You have to listen to everything, and if you're a music lover, you listen to everything. So we listen to all kind of music, as we listen to, grew up on a lot of 90s stuff as well, being 90s kids, so a lot of Nirvana,
Mm.
a lot of Green Day, all this kind of stuff, so yeah, we have broad minds when it comes to musicality.
That is very good to hear. So I believe you and especially you and Sam were into music quite early. So when did it become a notion in your mind to pursue music? When did that become somewhat of a reality? Because I can imagine, especially from I'm from a similar background, I would say, working class. It's never you don't imagine that there's something attainable for everybody.
Yeah, I think though, because me and Sam have been doing this since we were 14 years old, and we've been on the road since we were 14. I think this is kind of all I've ever known.
Mm.
Um, I think also it's all I'm good at. So I think there was never a doubt in my mind that this wasn't what I was going to do for the rest of my life. So I think we've just followed with that and carried that forward in our stride and in life. That music is everything to us. So it's what we'll do for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, perhaps it's not. It's better not to overthink it in that way. Then, but with kind of what you do, putting thoughts into paper and creating something, yeah, creative out of it. What did that give you? What did it do for you to be able to put thoughts onto paper?
Say that again. Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit.
What did it do for you putting thoughts onto paper and making something creative out of nothing?
Yeah, 100%. Music is my therapy. I find solace in music. I find um I find my being in music, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. So I think I started writing songs when I was around probably 10,
Okay.
maybe 11. Um, so I think it's just something that has always made me feel great, and something that I understand, I think. And I think understanding music is a thing in itself, and understanding that music can purvey these amazing magical emotions to us, no matter what music it could be,
Sure.
even metal and death metal purveys an emotion to people, to most people. From death metal to pop, doesn't matter what it is, from jazz to swing, it's music has an amazing effect. And I think
Very
recognizing that and being able to do that and create that is so important. So I think it's good. It's cool, man.
And very quickly, can you name perhaps one song that has at some point in your life been a big solace to you that somebody else wrote? And then also maybe a song that helped you along that you yourself wrote.
Ooh, good question. Um, so a song that somebody else wrote. It's a song by British band The Who. It's called Pablo O'Reilly.
Yeah, sure.
Um, it's about being a teenager and being lost and being angry with the world and running away and escapism and how we'd feel if we could do that and never look back, and teenage angst, and that's what it's about. And that resonated with me so much when I was a young kid, you know, when I was 15, 16, and I was especially getting into punk music. And I found the message through punk that it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be pissed off with things that are political or emotional or any of those kind of things. I think that when this song came about and talked about being a teenager, that it resonated with me. So that helped me through my teenage years in many ways, I think.
Okay. And then the song that perhaps you've written yourself, maybe early on, but if you want, we can also get into the album, because the album, I suppose, is full of
Well,
those...
yes, definitely from the new album, yeah. So from the new album, there's a song in it called Losing Streak, that it's about dealing with substance abuse and addiction and trauma and all those kind of things. And that's me talking about myself and talking about my own substance abuse and talking about my own trauma of dealing with it through substance abuse.
Sure.
Something that really I felt liberated writing, you know. It was quite a liberating experience to be able to talk about these feelings. So, yeah, so that's definitely a song that's helped me. And I really enjoy playing it live as well, which is quite nice. I feel like it's a weight off my chest when we play that one live.
Yeah, I can imagine, because one thing that struck me listening to the album is you have seemingly no problem to be brutally honest with yourself. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think being honest with ourselves is something that we should all try, and something that I think is quite a skill, to be honest with ourselves. And I think we can only become the best version of ourselves if we're completely honest. You know, I think unless we're honest to oneself, then we can never really fulfill our potential, I think.
And with that in mind, then, a song like Losing Streak, I can imagine that's very difficult to write down, but what got you out of that mindset, let's say? What gave you a better perspective that led up to eventually writing this song and kind of taking better care of yourself?
I think just realizing that you're in a bit of a rut, you know, and that some things aren't necessarily the way that we do things. Sometimes the way that we are doing some things is not the correct way to go about them, I think.
Sure.
I think recognizing that. And I have a very good support network as well. I have a very good friendship group. I have a very beautiful partner. So I think when you put all that together into a melting pot, I think you kind of come through the other side. And then ultimately you start singing about these things naturally, you know? So when that happens, then it's easier to sing about because you feel more at ease with it.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you said, or fitting that you say that, because as you mentioned, there are songs like "Stick Around," but also movies, and that kind of show a lot of gratitude to the people around you. So this whole enterprise of the Luka State and kind of trying to make it in music, how would you describe it? Is it like one big family?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, we're like brothers first and foremost, you know.
Sure.
We've been playing music together for a long time, and I think when you have that emotional connection and that musical connection, I think that it's unbreakable, you know. And I think we've played together for so long that we're really, really close to each other. I think that shows on stage how close we are with each other, you know, how much of a performance and how much passion we put into each performance. So yeah, it's like a family. It's a very good way of describing it.
I find it interesting as well, because with a family, people tend to be more honest, and egos seem to matter less in those situations because you know each other so well. So what is the kind of creative process like amongst the four of you, and then kind of maybe from how a song starts to how it ends up. And I suppose this is different for each song. But can you give me a general kind of sketch of how you make decisions within that creative process?
I think it's very easy, actually.
Okay.
You know, I don't think there's any aggro or anything like that.
Sure.
Especially on this second record, there was a different way of doing things. On the first record, we tend to have one formula of writing, which was I was writing the songs at home, writing a traditional way of writing. So be it, you know, of me writing the songs on my own at home, then bringing the song into rehearsal, saying, "Hey guys, this is the song," and then everybody adding their individual elements, which would change the song immensely, you know, because everyone was adding their own talent and their own pizzazz onto the song, you know. So there was that. There was that way. But then on this second record, we decided to take a different avenue of things and go down a different route, which was writing from the floor up. So either writing from a seed, which wasn't a song yet, maybe it was just a melody or a guitar line, and bringing that in and then seeing what we created and what came from it, and locking ourselves in the rehearsal room for 5 hours a day, not coming out until we had a finished song. Or literally going in with absolutely nothing whatsoever and locking ourselves in until we came out with a finished piece of music. But also on this record, we had the means to record as we were going. So we were recording and demoing the music as we were going. So then what I'd do was I'd take home this finished piece of music and I'd be able to sit with it and I'd be able to write the lyrics and the melody in depth and actually really think about what I was speaking about. That's why on this record, a lot of the lyrics are so deep and they're so in depth, because I had time to really evaluate what I was writing. Right, no, not good enough, throw. Right, not good enough, throw. And constantly amending, or the same with the melody, keep honing with the melody. And then I take that melody and those lyrics back to the band, present that, and then they'd either be like, yeah, that's absolutely fantastic, or it'd be a case of, well, yeah, that's good, but maybe you could change this word to that. I think maybe you could say this in a better way, or maybe this melody needs to change slightly here, and change that. And then with that happening, the process then comes full circle, doesn't it? Because we're all creating together again. So that's the way we approach this second record, and I think it's the best way we've ever written together, because I think it's another element of writing, you know.
Sure. Yeah, like you say, it's much more of a reciprocal relationship where things influence each other and at every step. So does the music influence your lyrics as well, or do you already kind of have in your mind what you want to write about? Because I can imagine with a song like "Bring Us Down," it's a very energetic song, so I can imagine the lyrics fit it well. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I try not to consciously think about that, you know. As odd as that probably sounds, I try to not think about it, because I think then that pigeonholes you into this kind of style of writing, and you're never going to find, for instance, a juxtaposition with your writing if you were constantly thinking, right, this song's fast and heavy, so that means the lyrics need to be angry. Doesn't necessarily always mean that that's the case. A really beautiful melody could be really angry lyrics, you know. So I think it's always good to not have that in your subconscious of what you're going to write about or how you're going to write. I think it's best just to happen, just naturally come out of you and happen. And when that happens, I think that's always the best way of doing things.
Yeah, and I think a good example of that perhaps might be Swimming Backwards, where obviously it's about something that's not necessarily too fun, but at the same time it's not a sad sounding song, and it's kind of more, and maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, but it's more of like we'll get through this together, that kind of sentiment.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I mean. That song is a perfect example of juxtaposition. It's about a very somber topic. It's about fertility and and struggling with fertility, but then also about the melody and the music is quite happy. So that's a perfect example. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a very good way of explaining it, I guess. Yeah.
Mm. Obviously, the last couple of years have been rough for everybody over the world for many, many different reasons. But for you, it kind of hit home a little bit when you, I believe, were delivering meals during the pandemic. Now, more than this, that song came out of it, and when I read that, it's such a heartbreaking thing to have to hear. But what made you think, kind of, okay, I need to address this, or I need to illuminate that people are kind of forced to live this way?
Yeah, I think. Excuse me.
No,
I think that sometimes in rock and roll, we have a platform to talk about things that are difficult to talk about, but things that need talking about. I think music is a very good platform to do so. So I found that stumbling upon such a sad story, something that really meant a lot to me, that really broke my heart, and writing about it, I thought their story needed to be told. And, I was delivering food parcels during the pandemic for families and people who were in need. And there was just one story that really stuck with me, that resonated with me, because there's thousands of other families and thousands of other people in this country at the moment who are reliant on food banks still in 2023 post-pandemic. That's due to the government not giving the support and help that they need in the areas that are required. So I just wanted to sing about it and tell their story tell the stories through their eyes, really. And that song lyrically is a true story, start to finish. There's no bakery or anything like that. So I just feel that when we have a platform to do these kind of things and sing about real topics, I think it's powerful to do so through the medium of music.
Sure. And I'd probably not, but have you stayed in touch with this person or no?
No, I've not, sadly, no.
No, because I can imagine. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I think it's a bit too close to the bone to stay in touch with these people. I'm being a voice for these people. I'm not pinpointing who it's about. I'm singing about that particular situation, but I'm also being a voice for thousands of other people who are in that situation.
Sure.
So I thought it was good to remain kind of anonymous, really.
No, it makes sense. But the reason I ask is just as you mentioned, there's thousands and thousands of people that can relate, and I think especially British rock and pop music has always had this working class mentality to it in a way. So, and you mentioned kind of the having that platform to use. But what have the reactions been to the new album then? Have you, because it's so honest and because it tackles these subjects that a lot of people can relate to, I think. What have the responses been like?
Yeah, very, very, very positive and amazing. Yeah, I think people understand that we can no longer sit on the fence and do nothing and not talk about these topics, So I think the reaction's been very positive. There's been no negative vibes at the moment. Everybody's enjoying it. It's going down well live. I mean, we're on tour at the moment. The UK leg sold out. There's been
very good to hear.
Hundreds and hundreds of people singing these songs back to us. And we're hoping the same when we come over to Europe, that these rooms will be packed out and people will be singing the words back to us. So we're super excited and we can't wait. We can't wait to get over on the tour and play. So it's going to be great. So the reaction's been very positive so far.
Oh, that's great to hear. What is the ambition then, so to say? It's the first album that you released was self-financed, if I'm not mistaken, but it was very well received, and now you have had more opportunity through a label to make another album, I think. What is the ambition? What would you like to do with the music? Do you have like visions of arenas or what?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we want to take this as far as we can. We want to play to as many people as possible. We want to reach a mass audience of as many people as we can, worldwide.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any musician that doesn't want that. I think they'd be lying if they threw in a band and they played live and said they didn't want to play to thousands and thousands and thousands of people at night. I think they'd be lying straight up. So we just want to reach as many people as possible. I don't know what we define as success anymore in this day and age. So I wouldn't say successful because I don't know what we define as that now.
Right.
Definitely, I think playing to as many festivals all over the world and playing the biggest venues we can possibly get to is definitely right up there with us.
Yeah, and I think the second album is a good step towards that. I have one last question I would like to ask you because I'm somewhat of a fan of Tyson Fury, and now there's a song on the album called Tightrope. When did you hear about the story and kind of his mental journey he had to go through and to arrive back at where he was, so to say?
Well, the song itself is inspired by his comeback, but it's more about my comeback. It's more about a documentation of my mental health being poor and coming through the other side and realizing that we can all fall from grace and we can all come back stronger and better. And I think the story of Tyson Fury being the heavyweight champion of the world, falling from grace and losing everything, but then becoming a better person and fighting his way back to the top and becoming the heavyweight champion of the world again. I think that is such an amazing metaphor for us as humans, that no matter what we are against them, no matter what we're up against, we can always make it out the other side and can always come out as the best possible version of ourselves. So that's where that came from, and that's what that song's about. It's about fighting our way back to the top, really. And it's...
I love the optimism in it, in the sense that, like you said, you can be down in the dumps or going through a terrible time, but there's always... I don't even want to call it just hope, but there's this, if you work hard enough, you can get through it. And if you... It might be a long road of suffering, but even so, you will still get through it. So I like that kind of optimistic message in that song.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Conrad, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll get to see you in Europe very soon, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Take care.